All's well that ends well, even if the music glitches out, right? What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay. That needy streamer overload thing was pretty fun earlier, so it was definitely something else. I mean, it's not the kind of game I'd normally play. I did some reading afterwards and found out the reason why I abruptly lost the game was because I blew off my girlfriend's texts 5 times. There's a little hidden switch in the game where you automatically lose if that happens. Fortunately, the game though has some an easy like replay feature. You can pick what day to start at, so I could probably go back and try and play that game the normal way again before I start really trying to break everything with that thing, because that game is just designed to be experimented with. Either way, it's 1:22 in the morning at the Geek House. This is obviously a hybrid stream because all the daytime people that would watch something like what I did earlier are now sleeping. So we'll leave this for so they can discover the surprise when they catch up with this later. Except for maybe Logan, who it would still be evening for him if he was still up. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because it's time to talk about my retirement from YouTube and ending my involvement as a YouTuber. YouTube was a part of the younger part of my life, but we all know that this online media stuff, this videos and streaming, favors younger talent. So we can run against, you can try running against the clock all you want, but it's just, what sucks about getting old is that you don't ask for it. It just happens. Literally, the only thing you did to deserve it is you just lived. You did your best to live. And what you end up as is old. It's like my generation said back in the 90s, life sucks, then you die. So, yeah, so I suppose we should dispense with all the silliness. I know a lot of younger folks watch me, and I don't know if I'm like some kind of nerdy father figure or crazy uncle to them, but I think we can dispense with all this nonsense. So, much like Darth Vader getting his mask taken off at the end of the Return of the Jedi, let's just say goodbye to all this MultimediaJay stuff once and for all on this lovely day in March. So, first, let's get rid of these lights. Switch to Geek House Light Mode. Because who am I as an old guy to be still doing this kind of silly stuff like this? Okay, that's Light Mode activated. That's the way it is. All right. Switch to dim mode. How many lights do I want? Ooh, yellow. Yay, soft white. Let's see. I suppose it looks pretty good. All right, I suppose we can work with that. I suppose dim mode is fine, even though it looks perfectly yellow. All right, well, just like Darth Vader getting his mask taken off, let's do this. Looking at things through my own eyes, despite the stupid whatever this is. I don't know. Hopefully it's not from the tube radiation from back in the days before when tube monitors were still popular. Let's see. All right, how about my latest pair of glasses, which makes me look like the dad figure that I am. They're gray, just like I'm gray. Just like I'm gray with the gray hairs. So let's see here. Hey, Jay, how's your night going? I am retiring from YouTube. I'm too old, and it's time to hang it up. Will this do anything? Yeah, let's just take this white balance this way. And some of you, I know that some folks who know me are probably rolling their eyes right now, asking, no, there is no way this is real. And you would be right. That's right, folks. These are a new pair of glasses because I actually got proper vision insurance instead of going to Walmart vision centers. I finally found an optometrist. So those ancient, worn-out Walmart glasses that I wore for years, I don't need to wear them anymore. But the reason why I don't do this normie mode, as some would call it, is number one, the bulbs, the smart bulbs that I have only do soft white. They don't do daylight. I'd rather have daylight bulbs so this place doesn't look all yellow. And the big problem, of course, as you can see, is I'm looking off to the side on camera, but you're over there. So it's a little hard for me, to stay focused and not do this a lot when I'm looking at the screen that way and this way, and I don't have a teleprompter set up, and I've got this big TV here. So, okay, no. There's a reason why I do all the MultimediaJay stuff that I do. And I realized I'd probably be great. I'm better off without glasses, actually, if it wasn't for whatever the heck this crap is. If it ever looks like it's dangerous, I'll just have to have it cut out, and I'll just have a scar there, just proof that I've lived and stuff like that. This is kind of nice and warm looking without all the blue stuff, but it's an ugly yellow apartment. It looks like the early days of YouTube when none of the cameras did any white balancing. And as retro as I am sometimes with the way I do things on YouTube, I just can't. I can't even with this stuff. Yeah, it's as retro as I am. Let's get some music going too. It's a late night kind of jazz lounge type thing anyway, so let's get that up and running. Let's look off to screen number 2 for that. So this is, if you want to know why I do the sunglasses indoors, this is the big reason why. It's just like the setup kind of makes it to where I should just totally do a Dr. Disrespecty type thing. By the way, Doc's my age. Hard to tell because he wears a wig, but I was surprised when I found out. Now, how about we change back to a little something that's more appropriate for what it is that I do? Yeah, you look a lot different without the glasses. Well, that's because I've been buzzing my own hair for the last 5 years. After I moved to this house, I was a little I didn't want to be driving like halfway back to my old town to go see my barber anymore. So I tried to wing it, you know, with the hair, doing my own haircuts. He was getting ready to retire anyways. My last barber was like 80 something years old. So he did end up, he semi-retired right after I moved up here, and then he just quit for good like a year or two later and finally retired for real. So it's probably a good thing I did all that. But yeah, I mean, this blue kind of theme is something that modern technology makes doable. I mean, even this just looks a lot better. You know, it's just like blue is my color. It always has been my color. And I'm not going to go all red like the doc. But even just without the special lighting, I mean, this is what old YouTube videos would have looked like. This is right here is what the old YouTube videos would have looked like if the cameras did what they could do back in those days, or stuff like that. But in the days of CF bulbs, see that? In the days of CF bulbs, everything would look like this, because daylight was something that really cost a lot. Daylight lighting became a thing. This is a little loud. Daylight lighting, this is 7%. I think I have some normalizer thing that's in play here. Daylight lighting became a thing with LED bulbs, which became affordable with stuff like Energize Connecticut in the mid-2010s. So by the time that was an option for me, it was already, I'd already been involved in YouTube for 10 years. So I was already getting up there in years to begin with as a content creator in his 30s, when so many people fawn over people in their 20s these days. So how about we switch it on back to the proper dark mode and resume the way we normally do things. I just got to work on my lighting so I'm lit better. I'll open Notepad for that. Switch to Geek House dark mode. Woo! That wonderful thing. Now I look all Tron-like. Gotta take these. Great. I've been smurfed because we changed everything up. Thank you! Now I can just go into here. I just go into here, and I can set the white balance to all warm, and I just open Notepad if I want to be properly lit. Hence the method behind the madness. But a lot of this new stuff that makes a lot of this doable is a wonderful, wonderful technology that has only just now come out, or has only come out recently. If I was like 20 something and whatnot, and I would start with all of this as a YouTuber. I would start with all this stuff. I want to light myself up a little more. I just pop open Notepad. See, there we go. The problem is I have a huge problem with stage lights for whatever reason. I was never involved in theater or anything, so a bright light off in the corner of my vision bothers the living daylights out of me. I don't know if I could get used to it. I could try if I really wanted to. But I do have the ring lights and other stuff around there that I got to set up. See, all I did was open Notepad right around there, and no, this looks much better. Take this off. Yeah, this is amazing. Shoot, man. You look a lot different without the glasses, though. I've seen it before in the really old videos. Yeah, well, a lot of time has passed since those really old videos, and back then I didn't really have this idea of a style or anything. Well, these are cool and all, but for some reason the optometrist couldn't get the prescription totally right. They're a little fuzzier than my old ones, so I'll run the old ones into the ground at work. Where's that glass case? So yeah, This is largely a big thank you to the folks who actually still watch any of what I do and the people that'll actually still like and subscribe nowadays, because when it comes to content creation, I'm definitely over the hill. So why do I still do it? You know, I mean, I just talked about I'm retiring from YouTube. Now, you're never going to see me retire from this kind of stuff, because if it's fun, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to have to be forced into retirement, just like with work. Yeah, I'm going to have to be forced into retirement. This is all this great stuff that just came out. It wasn't a thing even as little as 5 years ago with some of the tech videos that I did in the mid-2010s. I had to mess around with daylight versus soft white and then hope that I could white balance out whatever yellow was left in the landlord's paint. But with this stuff we have nowadays, all this cool stuff that we have nowadays, it makes it completely irrelevant that the landlord didn't use the right color paint and he last painted this house when incandescents were still a thing. So let's see. Check the things in, all right. It just keeps sounding like the jazz is a little too loud. So let's quickly pause that and let's see what that sounds like in the preview by doing this. It just keeps sounding like the jazz is a little too loud. So let's quickly pause that and let's see what that sounds. Not bad if I do say so myself. I noticed that the last stream had a bit of a problem with that. But yeah, today is basically a giant, this chat stream is just a giant thank you to the people that have been that still will do anything with anything that I upload these days. The long game of content creation is this: you only really stick with whatever it is that you enjoy doing, because you know popularity comes and goes. We know that it's a thing with, say, it's not just a thing with content creators or influencers. It's also a thing with like musicians and stuff like that. There's probably musicians out there that were dropped by a record label that thought they should still be popular. And sometimes anything that depends on other people's approval can be fickle as all heck. It's just ridiculous. What is it with this, let's see. I don't know what it is with the, maybe it's because it's jazz. This is a little too, you know, not enough of a spectralizer for that player, but who's looking at that anyways? So, everybody wants to say anything else in chat, go right ahead. But so the reason why am I having this chat stream? Well, as you saw earlier with Needy Streamer Overload, one of the things that I'm going to do with streams is basically set them up to be more of an evening thing, and then do more chat streams or relaxed stuff, or you know, experimenting with things behind the scenes tonight. I actually made an overlay and some other stuff, working on some other assets too for when I'm playing edgier games, so that it can say viewer discretion is advised in some way, shape, or form. Needy Streamer Overload has a lot of dark themes in it, and I was watching some spoiler videos because I don't really want to find these out for myself because it's a goofy little indie game. But there can be some really, also for the sake of TOS when streaming it, there's some really weird stuff can happen in that game. Some of it can be pretty disturbing. So I want to be able to put something in the streams to note if I'm playing an edgier game like that might have that kind of stuff going on. It is an indie game, so last case, get that over there. The reason why we're having this discussion, where'd that spinner go? The reason why we're having this discussion is because I just got an email from my dad about my birthday next week. It's an ugly one. It's not one that I've been looking forward to. Because next weekend I turn 40. Hence the whole over the hill thing and stuff along those lines. So, about 10 years ago, I actually did a MultimediaJay vlog back then about turning 30. Let's humor ourselves and revisit it a little. Switch over to React mode here. All right. You want to see what 10 years has done? Compare all of this wonderful stuff we have nowadays to my horrendous sounding Samsung camera on standard def YouTube back in 2012. Put OBS over on screen 2 and split the screen like we would if we were, oh, not that. Yeah, keep that full size. It's the other OBS that I want to switch over. Oh, that looks fine as is. Now let's do a reaction. Set the quality on this. That's as high as it goes, 480p. I hope I'll probably get an ad in the middle of this too. But here was YouTube, and here was YouTube 10 years ago. Very different world. No, You talk about streaming and how it has affected YouTubers and how you have to change with the times. This is why. Look at this. Stock music from the Smart Sound Audio Library. This thing predates the YouTube Audio Library. Standard def, upload limits and time limits. Boom.
What is up, everybody? MultimediaJay's in his house yet again.
No lighting whatsoever. That was just a torch light. I had a loft apartment at the time, and the light socket on the ceiling fan in the center of the loft gave out. So I was using torch lamps on both sides to light everything up. One bulb CF per torch, and it was miserable. I called it the king of silhouettes because I was vlogging like this. And people were like, well, how come you can't buy another light? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I don't want to deal with extension cords and stuff. Today, of course, there's LEDs and all kinds of other wonderful stuff. But yeah, there's the old TV as well. Much younger back then. And there's the old Cosmic Panda YouTube theme from the early 2010s.
Whatever that means. Anyways, yeah, I'm terrible at that kind of stuff. I don't really talk like that, so I probably shouldn't do that here either. Anywho, it's my birthday, and not just any birthday today. Big 3-0. Yeah, big 3-0. 30. I guess I'm officially old now. So, as you can imagine, I've been hearing lots of old guy jokes throughout the day, and I've been playing along, just having a little fun with this.
Yeah, so hairstyles haven't changed at all, and that's just a coincidence. I still got haircuts back then. Old videos 2010s that I always notice it's a bit annoying. The video glitches on the right side. Yeah, this was a Samsung SMX camcorder from when Samsung made camcorders. Remember when Samsung made camcorders? Probably not, because they didn't stick with it. This is the predecessor to all of the Sony Handycams, which were a much more consistent brand of cameras over the years. And here's why. I had a Samsung TV, it was awesome. I had a Samsung display before that TV, and it was awesome. So I figured, why not just get a Samsung camcorder? And it was a stupid idea. It was brand loyalty to a fault. It was stupid because it was one of the lowest quality cameras I've ever gotten. But at least it charged off of USB, so you didn't have to keep putting the battery on the charger or plugging it in. Standard feature on Handycams nowadays. And probably nearly every other camcorder out there. This is the one that went in the soup. Yes, Logan, it was. This is the one that went in the soup. I tried to clean it off, but unfortunately, there was crap all over everything, and it just wasn't worth it. Yeah, a little spider tripod, the thing fell over, and the camera died because it fell into a bunch of soup in an Ashens pastiche, an early Ashens pastiche that I was doing. But yeah. So you wonder why I do all this stuff with these designs and the blue gradients and things along those lines? It's because we actually have that nowadays. And it's amazing. It's awesome. I don't care if I'm the boomer, or as the Koreans would call it, the ajusi, the old guy doing this kind of stuff. Because it's still fun, even though the most popular content creators are young people in their 20s.
So I've come prepared tonight.
Some early 30s for the younger millennials, because they already had a following that they built up in their 20s. Because they've had all this wonderful stuff that my generation didn't.
Prunes! It was either going to be prunes or Metamucil, but the running joke that I've had going all day is I was going to get either prunes or Metamucil. And my dad even mentioned the whole Metamucil thing. I'm like, yeah, if it's not prunes, what's it going to be? Oh, well, try Metamucil. But I don't exactly do anything with Metamucil, but these are kind of like oversized raisins, so I figured I could get away with this. But anyways, yeah. Lots of old jokes today, although from people that really shouldn't be talking about that. I mean, some of my cousins that are younger than me are like, happy birthday, old man, and I'm like, you'll get there.
It's true. You can't ever make fun of somebody because of their age, because there's a nasty little snapback in either direction. So let's say you make fun of me because you're younger than me. You're like, haha, old timer. I can just turn around like Rocky Balboa in the old Rocky movie and say, you'll get there. And in the other direction, if my dad's like, happy birthday, old timer, I can say, what's worse, being a 40-year-old son or being old enough to have a 40-year-old son? Because I remember when he got on the phone with my grandmother when he turned 40 and was like, yeah, you have a 40-year-old son. So age sucks. My dad pioneered this motto for me. I go around saying it like he did. Getting old sucks. What do you do to deserve old age? Nothing. You just try your best to live. And you get punished anyways. That's why my generation was so morbid with the life sucks, then you die thing. Oh, this is going to be one of the most 90s streams that I've ever done, isn't it? Where's my flannel?
And the older folks, and then the older folks like my dad and whatnot are like, happy birthday, old timer. Let's not forget who's got the 30-year-old son. Anyways.
I'll try not to rub it in his face too much. So the reason why we're having this discussion at all is because my dad sent me an email because since it's my 40th birthday, he wants to have some kind of father-son get-together, which I guess that would be rather depressing with both of us in our advanced age, but I'm trying to think up something that would make that not the most depressing thing the two of us have ever done. So he's close to 70 now. So do I really need to remind him that he's close to 70 years old? It's like, how do you make something good out of your kid becoming middle aged? That's it's a real ugly topic. Look, the bottom line is one of the things that happens as you get older is that you think you're not as far along as you actually are. If I live to be 70 something years old, my life is already mostly over. That's what sucks. It's like 80, I'm at the halfway point. But my grandfather only made it to his 60s because of diabetes. My uncle is in his 70s, though, with newer technology and more medical stuff. But even he's joking about, well, crap, I don't even want to be around a couple more years. This sucks. Or something else along those lines. My dad was the youngest among the baby boomers in the family. So, but even he's retired. So it's just a matter of grumpy old stuff here. But I'll just say this. Saying you're old when you're 30 is a meme. It's more serious when you're saying you're old when you're 40.
Lots of joking about getting old, as you can imagine. And prunes instead of a birthday cake. Well, I didn't exactly go without a birthday cake. My folks actually...
So should I get 2 packets of prunes now because I'm 40 instead of 30? And 3 packets if I get 50? It's just... Stop making... Well, a little self-deprecatory sense of humor sometimes can be, well, you know.
Picked one up and I was helping Dad. I finally got that computer out of here. Dad's finally got the computer. I gotta take a look at the e-machine piece of junk that's been giving him all this trouble and see what's going on. But let's not...
Spoiler alert. That e-machine that I mentioned in this video from 2012 is long gone. He gave it to me years ago. It's sitting in a box. I've been meaning to make tech videos about it for years. It's one of my backlog things too. Intel Core Solo. It was originally made for Windows Vista. It has serious Delosaurus potential. That's one of the reasons why I want to strike a balance between streams and videos, because I have too much stuff sitting around that would be a heck of a lot of fun to mess with, even with a legacy series like my tech videos that is basically, it is what it is. It's my entry in the world of content creation where something is mature and developed that I don't want to mess with it. Kind of like some formats that some of these live streamers have. Ginny TTY comes to mind. Her streams are basically the same as they were like when I first saw her with S-Fan 2 years ago. Almost nothing has changed. She travels the world, same alerts, same generic format, but it's consistent and you pretty much know what to expect if you tune in. Some other folks do that too. Some of the older content creators that are just like, screw it, this is what I'm going to do. Eventually you get to that point. But in my case, though, I still want to experiment with other stuff, not just something that I got to work nearly 10 years ago.
Not do any more work than we absolutely have to on this festive day. Okay, now, some folks would call this an unboxing video, but technically this is an unbagging video. So Stop and Shop brand California pitted prunes.
From back before we had an Aldi, before the Walmart in the area was upgraded to include groceries. So the supermarkets in the area played all kinds of gimmick games with like rewards cards and stuff. because they didn't have negotiating clout versus the Walmarts of the world that had super centers and stuff like that. There was no Aldi in here yet and all the other stuff. So groceries were more expensive back then. I often wish that I could have the money back that I wasted shopping at Big Y and Stop and Shop in the years before larger grocery sources like Walmart supercenters and Aldi's arrived. Or more aggressive negotiators, I should say.
Rite of passage to me officially being an old geezer or whatever. Anyways, let's try one of these out. Ugh, like raisins, but slimier. Bottoms up, baby!
But at least it's a good source of fiber.
Oh, they're not that bad. They're like raisins, only bigger.
Well, duh. You gotta understand, the joke here is that prunes were basically old people food. It was synonymous with old people, either from being shriveled up or the stuff that old people ate because it was a good source of fiber. It was a joke growing up when I was dumb enough to make jokes like that.
Good stuff. And I don't know why people make fun of prunes. I mean, they're just basically like oversized raisins. Yeah, when I was growing up, we used to have like old people jokes and stuff like, ha ha, old person, eat your prunes, take your Metamucil. So that's where the whole prunes idea came from. Well, I think this is my rite of passage, and now I can officially be called an old-timer. So, folks, please don't rub it in too much. This day has been hard enough on me as it is. Good.
That's how you know it's 30 and not 40. You can still laugh about that stuff.
Source of fiber, 100 calories, no fat, no sodium, total carbs, 26 grams. Very, very healthy stuff. Delicious.
Epic fail.
Old standard def epic fail. That was upgraded to HD a couple of years ago.
And of course, what would a birthday be without presents? So this is my new toy. This is the present, so to speak, that I got for myself. Yet another crap top, this time an Acer. And this
Hey, look, it's rubbish. I got that sitting around somewhere. I'm still trying to figure out what I can still do with that thing.
This time, a netbook. This is an Acer Aspire 1, yet another staple special. This blippity little thing is smaller than the crap top, and it probably...
That compact had its screen die, and I just junked it. It was like a toy anyways, with how plasticky it was, but this is rubbish. Brand new.
has better battery life, and it's technically a netbook because no optical drive. This was yet another Staples special. Staples actually has these on sale for $300 this week, and I figured, you know what, I've been looking for
Canon Allura camcorder that still took DV tape, IntelliMouse Explorer 4-ish mouse, or generation mouse that I eventually junked in the Great Sift, alarm clock from college that just happened to fit under the TV at the time.
something similar to a laptop, but more mobile. Let's fire it up, why don't you?
Windows 7 era, by the way, and the AMD APU is officially EOL as far as AMD processors go.
It didn't make any sense. But anyways, yeah, I've been looking for something a little more mobile because the Blue Yeti is, of course, a USB mic.
Original Blue Yeti, as opposed to this Yeti Nano. Mini USB on those old ones, by the way.
So, what I can do with something this portable with its alleged 7-hour battery life is take this thing on road trips with the Yeti in a backpack and stuff and do some remote sampling of sounds and stuff. I'll just take the Yeti and the headphones and head out, or maybe earbuds if headphones would make me look too much like a studio tech on the road.
The Bible says, do not boast about your plans for tomorrow because you never know what a day might bring forth. All this braggadocious bravado when I got this thing. I never once did that. I never did audio sampling with the Yeti in stereo mode. By the way, this thing's bolted into a stand. I'm not taking this off anytime soon. So the odds are I will probably never do that. Plus, this doesn't have a stereo pattern anyways. It just has cardioid or omni. It doesn't have the stereo or front back like the original Yeti did. The USB jack broke on the Yeti, by the way. That's why I don't use it anymore. Could theoretically solder a new jack in, but technology has moved beyond the Blue Yeti, disrupting the industry like it did over 10 years ago. I had the Yeti, 2011? Yeah. You know what I should do for these late night streams? Make some kind of late night scene to wake everybody back up in the chat. I don't know. I'm not a chill streamer, though. I don't see why people would fall asleep to what it is that I do. But hey, you know, hello. Anyways, all right. Enough pestering those poor headphone people like myself.
I'm thinking head out with this thing, record some nice nature sounds and things like that, and things along those lines, because last summer I actually took the crap top outside with the Yeti and did some omnidirectional recording of some of the nature sounds in the woods out here. So,
Bone stock Windows 7 display desktop and stuff. Plus, this ran Windows 7, a more resource-heavy version of Windows than 8 and 10. On a netbook. That's how far back we're going.
That was pretty fun, actually, except that thing is really clunky to carry around.
Landline telephone from SBC. Tuxedo is my main system.
And it only has a
Nintendo Wii down in the corner.
3-hour battery life, as opposed to whatever I can get this thing up to. It's got 4 gigs of RAM, Windows 7 Home Premium. It's got
no Wii U yet. I didn't get that until summer of 2012.
One of those AMD special processor thingies that's made for mobile machines. And let me actually look up what the specs are. Let's see if I need my bifocals to read this on this blippity little 11-inch screen. Just kidding about the bifocals part.
I still don't need reading glasses, though. But then again, I've been reading screens for the last 10 years. So, I don't know. I'm in a generation where I can just hold down the thing and scroll the wheel to make things bigger. So, paperless, baby. I'll probably get some reading glasses at some point, but bifocals or progressive lenses are probably something I'm never going to play nice with, so I'll have to keep flipping glasses around. I just don't, or just do like Sherlock, or get on my Sherlock Holmes on and just bust out a magnifier to read something. So that I'm not in a position where I have to mess with reading glasses yet. We'll see how much longer that lasts. Whatever.
But I can't imagine those would be that far off.
4 gigs of RAM, AMD C60, Windows Experience Index, saying that this is what was the max score that you could get with Windows Experience Index back in the day? No.
3.3 on the Windows Experience Index. That's a little
1 gigahertz old school dual core, only 2 cores.
Below the crap top in terms of performance. AMD C60 APU with Radeon HD graphics, 1 gigahertz. Yeah, low power processor with some blah blah HD stuff built in. 4 gigs of RAM, which is huge because the Acer crap book I'm calling this the crap book because it's a netbook, and I called that the crap top, so I'm calling this the crap book.
I've never had much respect for most of my laptops because they're almost always appliances. The focus is always on my main systems, which are desktops with interchangeable parts. Laptops are usually purchased to serve a specific purpose, and their lack of upgrade options is usually factored into all of that.
But it is a crappy netbook. I mean,
the turd Shiba is a wonderful example of this.
Acer in my book is synonymous with cheap chunk of plastic. I don't have very high hopes for this thing. As a matter of fact, a lot of the electronic stuff that I've seen fail on a regular basis in the last couple of years had one thing in common: Acer.
Yes, this was very close to in my IT support specialist job when I was doing more with hardware back in those days before the layoffs. I argued with the manager about supplying out, I should say, a bunch of monitors to go with some warehouse terminals that we were setting up. He was like, the Acers are cheaper. I was like, get a real brand. Don't get Acer. You're going to regret it if you get Acer. What do you know? I'm sure Acer's better these days, but back then it was like cheap. So, what do you know? The Acer monitors that we wound up requisitioning, they were from a defective lot, and all of them died within 2 weeks, or about a couple of weeks of each other. They all died. Same exact problem. The inversion, whatever it was, the inverter that powered the backlight on the LCD panels that was defective on all of them. They all went to flickering dim and then no picture within a very short period of time. And they all died around the same time. I think we got like a year out of them or something. And I was like, why do you have me around to recommend technology to you if you're not going to go with my recommendation and suffer the consequences anyways. Because this wasn't the first time that had happened. We used to install projectors in our conference rooms. They always wanted the cheapest projector, which was SVGA at the time. And because of the lower resolution, even though all the company laptops were 1024 by 768 XGA, they couldn't read their own spreadsheets at their planning meetings because of the resolution. I was like, pay a little more, get an XGA native projector, and you'll be able to read your spreadsheets properly, and you won't have this problem. Well, they did. And you know what? One of those projectors from 2007 is still in use in that building today for building-wide meetings and staff meetings and stuff. 2007. But there's snotty HR people who won't let me be any kind of local IT around here because, oh, you've been doing warehouse work since the Great Recession. There must be something wrong with you. Lovely.
I hope I can at least get a couple of years out of this thing. But anyways, 4 gigs of RAM. Like I was saying before I got distracted there, the Newegg Acer crap book that they've got on sale. Newegg's got a similar model to this one, but it's only got 2 gigs. Windows 7 Home Premium 64, so that's good. So I can maybe upgrade the RAM or max it out at some point later on. I think a bigger upgrade for this would basically be to put an SSD in it. It's got a mechanical hard drive. Can't remember what the capacity was in the hard.
I did exactly that. And I've called it a waste of an SSD because it is still slow. This is rubbish back when it was brand new and running Windows 7 with a mechanical drive. Pathetic. Some things never change.
Hard drive in this thing. Boo! Plus I got to get rid of that stupid flower picture for my logon. Yeah, roughly probably around 300-ish or so if it's rounding down, doing its usual computer fuzzy math thing to 284 gigs. And we got all the Acer crap still on it. I got to blank all this stuff out as well as get rid of all the unnecessary Windows 7.
Chloe, I don't even remember subscribing, but I'm glad you're still having a good time after all these years. Well, there are some channels that I've been subbed to on YouTube for so long, I can't even remember why I subbed to them in the first place. But, you know, I also have my manual override list of drop-downs in my main web browser, so in case the YouTube subscription system screws up, I can look through the list every so often and, well, I want to watch something. So it's less of a thing in this day and age of omni-media and live streaming, but, you know, I have cable news all over again. The hell is this? Hey, we have a spammer. Hey, we have a spam bot. Fix that in live control room. That's somebody that actually, there we go. Wow. So those robots are learning how to, subscribe to channels now. Interesting. Boink. See ya. Let's try this again. You know, I usually put the chat in sub-only mode to not have that happen. I guess I got to reconsider that nowadays. Of course, this is one spammer grand total. I would get spammers more often if the chat was totally open. Plus, hey, getting involved in live stream chat on here, it's a perk of subbing. Hit the subscribe button.
Having eye candy and the...
It's good that you're having a good time after all these years. Yeah, well, this is the sort of thing. The only thing... McAfee. Old school Skype, too. Yeah, so, I mean, the whole thing with this is that you only really... I think I'm probably a great example, even though I never really did any, like, formal stuff like that. I had those bots show up my YouTube streams quite a few times, a little... Yeah, thanks, Logan. Yeah, but the I love you robots are not going to be able to post in here because I banned the kiss emoji from my chat. I mean, if I ever have some girls in here that think I'm attractive, I might reconsider. But as it stands, I've mostly seen that from spam bots. Like, I love you. Check out my webcam site. No thanks. Keep your stupid little malware to yourself. Fake robot girl. Whatever. But I think, you know, all things considered, I'm probably a wonderful example of how you stick with what you like in terms of content creation. Because, you know, when nobody cares about you because you're old and all that other fun stuff, whatever. Yeah, when you reach that part of your life, what are you going to do to still have fun? And that's actually one of the reasons why I'm doing what it is that I'm doing. Because one of the things that happens as you get older is that you basically have fun however you still can. And this is one of the ways I still can. With all this new technology that wasn't around when I was 20-something and a young YouTuber, have a lot of fun with all this wonderful new stuff. Because why let the Zoomers have all the fun with it? It's awesome. I wish I had this when I was younger. I would probably not had all these horrible looking videos if the technology for decent YouTube videos at standard or high def was as mature as it is today back in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We got some wonderful stuff these days. So instead of grumbling about how I didn't have it when I was young, have some fun with it now. Simple enough.
And the complimentary antivirus that expires after 2 months. Yeah, I'm going to make another video where I set this thing up, but I'm going to set this thing up to become the most mobile system that I have. And the main use that I want to use for this crap book is audio and stuff that requires a computer, just a computer in some very mobile situations. Like,
the kind of things the smartphone does nowadays.
One thing that I've been doing with this thing is using it for YouTube uploads because it's low power. So I can leave it going all night, doesn't use a lot of power or anything like that. But this...
And I had 3 megabit per second DSL asynchronous back then. So, yes, standard def YouTube uploads would routinely go overnight.
Uses even less. I might just plug this in with its power plug somewhere and, leave it uploading stuff or doing something that's low power.
Hey, Chloe! I just got done, if you weren't here for that, I just got done about 15 minutes ago warning about how you can never make fun of somebody because of their age. No matter what direction you're going in, there's always a smart-ass response. Use DVR mode to see it, or catch the replay.
On the network or something along those lines. This crappy little thing's probably going to be quite versatile, and I can take a set of headphones and the Blue Yeti on the road to do some sound sampling with this thing without it being like carting around a giant hardcover book that weighs several pounds everywhere I go.
No, it's just going to be like carting around a giant hardcover book that weighs only a couple pounds. I never did this. Just like, what was I thinking was going to happen? Yeah, it's like I made one nature video in 2014 inspired by a nature video I made in 2008 that's no longer on YouTube because I got content ID'd with my my royalty-free stock track. I could put it up on Dailymotion if I really wanted to. Give the Dailymotion something to do.
Should be pretty fun. Recycle bin, Acer Games, eBay, Netflix.
OG Netflix logo. Oh, look, Nook. That's the Barnes & Noble competitor to the Kindle that's long discontinued.
Nook for PCs, Skype, McAfee, blah blah, antivirus. Say your tearful goodbyes, folks, because this built-in software ain't gonna last very long. And I'm gonna find a way to get rid of all these Acer screens that are everywhere. Even the Windows splash screens are Acer. I think there's some programs out there that let you switch back to the real Windows 7 Home Premium splash screens instead of this Acer branded stuff. So
unlike in today's world where Windows 10 is cloud-based, so you can just register Windows 10 to the hardware hash, then you just nuke the whole computer and just install bone stock Windows 10 with a couple customized drivers and not have any of the bloatware. We are so spoiled nowadays with all this wonderful new stuff. But I think I did enough exhibitions of that with the Silver Bullet 2000 project.
Figure out how to do that and do that in some other video. Anyways, that is my birthday present. And considering the kind of multimedia stuff that I have nowadays, it'd be really cool if I could take the Yeti on the road and plug it into this thing and do some serious recording. So I'll put Audacity on it and maybe try some other programs, but mostly Audacity. So, that is the crap book. And it's even got a little webcam. Can't even see it. And it's even got a little webcam. I might need a light, but it's got a webcam right about there. A little speck that looks like a smudge in the middle of the screen.
Saw it for like a second.
Yay! Netbook, baby. By the way, for those of you that may have seen this water ripple design and wondered if it was real or just a paint job, it actually is a physical ripple design. There is a little bit of a ripple there if you run your finger over the case, but that isn't really a good idea because it's shiny and it's black. Therefore, it's a fingerprint magnet, and this poor camera's having a heck of a time focusing on it. So, in any event, time to get back to the hey, focus! I mean, it's only a YouTube page. Come on.
When the whole channel was called The Wacky World of MultimediaJay, This is before I actually had a series with that name and just called the channel that. It made more sense for it to be a series. But yeah, this is what, parenting and the internet, my thing about social media gaffes back in 2012.
Okay, back to the fun with these videos and other such stuff. We've got a crap book to set up. Till next time, this is
Old YouTube logo. Couple hundred subscribers.
MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.
Country! Yeehaw! Woo! Hope I don't get content ID'd for that stock track. So that's the spoofy video that I did back when I turned 30. And so why are we even having this kind of a conversation in the first place? My dad emailed me because he wants to have some kind of get-together for my 40th birthday. But just imagine, you know, what we just saw versus what we have now. Even though this is a crappy webcam, I can always upgrade. I got to find a way to upgrade the camera. Just got to find one that processes the light as well as everything else does. But fundamentally, you know, this is peak MultimediaJay right here. You know, this stuff didn't exist back in those days. I've even wondered about getting rid of this old thing. It's from this keyboard's from 1998. Newer keyboards are so much better than this. That I don't know. I don't even play this one. What makes me think I'm going to play a newer one? Well, it is good to use the built-in sounds. Then I'd probably get nostalgic for this one, so I'd have to figure out what to do about it. Or get like a 2 keyboard setup. Would set it up like some kind of weird organ or something. But yeah, so I got an email from my dad, and he wants to actually have some kind of father-son throwback to the old layout. So let's see here. Throwback. What's that? Yeah, so my dad wants to, I don't know how we're going to not make it into something depressing, though, if he stops by. Like, oh, yeah, I'm 40. Oh, I have a 40-year-old son. What are we going to do about that? What I think I could do, though, is I could probably do some kind of, kind of like bridge the generation gap and stuff like that. Kind of show them, you know, why, you know, things are the way they are with the way I do things and stuff along those lines. So anyways, probably going to do some work on getting the place tidied up, things along those lines, get stuff rearranged, especially with that month off that we could probably do. So I got to figure that part out as well. All right, let's see here. What's going on Twitch right now? It's 2 a.m. What time does Just Keth go live? She's supposed to take Mr. Streezy out to the kickboxing place. See, nothing as of yet. Yeah, the whole Thailand thing's still a thing. Like I said, you know, if you're making fun of yourself because you're old when you're 30, it's a meme. It's actually a lot more serious when you're 40. Now, we talked about the morbid stuff, like, you know, if I live to 75 or something, my life's mostly over anyway. So what do you do? Well, it's a question of what can you still do? That's really the thing. And so that's the reason why I have all of this stuff that I have here, is because it's a way I can still have fun, and this wasn't a thing a couple of years ago. I have fun doing this kind of stuff. It's just like YouTube can go to hell all at once, like it's been doing. Twitch can go to hell all at once, like it's been doing. Nothing is really going to change. This stuff's pretty fun, you know? Worst comes to worst, I make a few videos here and there, and that's really the extent of it. But this live streaming thing, I mean, a lot of what's available is thanks to live streaming. So the better sounding audio for chat streams like this, getting people looking at these kind of things. Go golfing with your dad, peak old dad, old son activity. The nearest golf course is a road trip for us, though. That's the thing. There aren't any nearby golf courses because we're too far out in the woods. Plus, the only golfing we've ever done is mini golf, and it's too early in the year for any mini golf courses to be open. That's the thing. Might be the case like in a month or two when, as we're dropping the COVID restrictions and everything, because Omicron is an eclipse here in this part of Connecticut. But it's just the thing. I think at this point, though, what would really be good is, look, one of the things that got me thinking about this, you know, getting older thing. We have different decades on the music service over at the 9 to 5, and we had 70s night the other night. And during the middle of the night, probably some of you folks may have heard this song. Otherwise, I've added it to my light favorites with less talk and, you know, baby boomer music playlist here. Father Son Road Trip. We did that before 5 years ago. Over 5 years ago. One last Massachusetts trip. stuff along those lines. Neither of our cars are in really great shape anyway, so I'm just trying to still keep going to work until the thing conks out, and hopefully the part shortages will stop jacking up the prices by the time I need another set of wheels. Otherwise, I'm probably going to be buying a fixer-upper from Facebook Marketplace or something. That's not going to be fun. Yeah, father-son road trip. Yeah, that could be a thing. But I think probably one of the things that I could do is... yeah, we're talking all over the place because of chat. Let's actually say what I need to say regardless of what chat says. So switch off to scene transitions there and put chat way over there for the time being. So we had 70s night at the 9 to 5 earlier, and they played Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. Really old song. I think it came out in 1970, half a century ago. More than that, actually. But I listened to this, and it's just folky stuff, piano, guy singing, etc. You can punch it up on YouTube if you really want to listen to it. So, A Bridge Over Troubled Water, I've heard it all my life because it was always on the radio because my folks listened to the light music stations and whatnot when I was growing up. They had this phase where they had to listen to, like, doctor's office music and stuff like that. So... but the song always sounded like something that would play at the end of a movie. Just the chords they use and the way the song is and stuff like that. It sounds like you're watching an old movie from the 70s or something, and the camera's panning out as the couple or whatever lives happily ever after, and the credits are starting to roll. It always sounded like that. And I'm like, man, you know, if I was like 60-something, 70-something years old right now, and I hear that playing, and I'm from the baby boomer generation, I think about... you know, my generation protested the Vietnam War, stood up for civil rights, oversaw pretty much everything that made being a millennial possible. You know, sent someone to the moon even, which nobody has done since. Sent folks into space in the space station, but the Apollo missions, that's totally a baby boomer thing. So, well, Gen X as little kids. 1969 into 1970. As little kids for the oldest of the oldest of the oldest for Gen X. But it just makes me wonder, you know, how many people that age can hear that song and it feels like, well, crap, that sounds like my life's getting ready to roll the credits. So, oof, amen, I hear you. All right, let's put chat back on the screen here. I keep talking around in circles because I'm keeping up with chat and stuff. By the way, I keep dimming, and this keeps happening, by the way, because I'm using Notepad as a light. Trying to get used to having something bright off to the side so I can put a ring light in or something to be properly lit. Stuff like that. Probably not have it pointed directly at me, though. A lot of the people that I know who get this effect really well, they reflect it off of something. So I might have to reflect it off the silver bullet that's over there. Or something bright. Maybe get a little white screen for it, similar to what photographers have. So, but it's really a thing, you know. It's like, how do we not make... and he's like, yeah, father-son thing, da-da-da. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing for you and me and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm thinking, how is this not going to be the most depressing thing in the world? Well, I think what I'd like to do is, I realize that baby boomer versus millennial has been a meme on the internet for years, and we definitely do have our clashes and stuff. I've had to explain to him why, as a post-war child who grew up in the 50s and 60s and whatnot, and what's happened with inflation and wage stagnation and stuff like that since then, that there's and of course student loans and certain things getting price jacked to oblivion, getting to the point where, you know, there's people in my generation that deliberately chose not to buy a house or have kids or basically do stuff that they did at certain stages in their life. There's memes everywhere on the internet for it. And we've had our disagreements because I've had to explain to him how the stars align, because I've thought about what it must have been like to be my grandparents. Born in the 20s, their childhood gets cut short by the Great Depression, and the only reason the country gets out of the Depression is because my grandfather enlists in the army during World War II. So, by the time the war is over and my grandparents are having kids, they're either pushing 22, 32, 42, 52. Youngest was born in the their oldest, I should say, was my uncle, born in the 40s. So they were around like 30s-ish or so when they started having kids. So essentially the Depression destroyed the young part of their life. They start out with their 30s, and then they were raising kids, trying to keep a roof over their head, GI Bill type stuff, because my grandfather served in World War II, in the American Army, sergeant. all that great stuff. But he didn't. My dad told me about the generation gap between him and my grandfather, and my grandfather didn't understand rock and roll and other stuff, and there was kind of the gap there. And you consider what it would mean if you're a post-war child versus your Depression era parents. I can understand why that would cause a rift, especially if the old folks are jealous of the young folks. In a similar sense, I have the same thing going on with content creation. There's all this wonderful stuff that's out there nowadays that wasn't a thing when I was first getting into YouTube. I mean, you think about it, back when in the 2000s, just shy of 20 years ago, a little shy of 20 years ago, 1080p was a premium technology. And you would pay a premium to get 1080p instead of 720p. Now it's so mature that it's kind of old school. It's still good, but what else is out there is even better if you do 1440 or 4K. 4K, of course, is now heading towards being more mainstream. And with televisions, the economies of scale have gotten such that you can pretty much only get 4K TVs. Unless you do like what I do with this new old stock TV that I picked up, which is still 1080, but it's from 2019. So it's the last Samsung 1080p TV out there. Unless you get a smaller, like 32-inch or smaller television, you're probably looking at 4K. So I didn't want to shrink my screen down because I deliberately went with 37-inch instead of 32-inch, and I went with 1080 over 720 back in 2008 when I got my last TV. But we live in a world where 1080 is kind of something that's so mature and established that it's just something nobody cares about anymore. It's nothing special to do things in 1080p. And even Twitch. I mean, YouTube allows for streaming beyond 1080p. Twitch is kind of at 1080p, and some people are making fun of Twitch for that. But 1080-60, still pretty decent. Post-war parents and climate crisis kids who have ample luxuries but struggle for the necessities. Yeah, that's the stupid part. That's why when people are talking about... More good stuff from chat here. That's why, that's one of the reasons why I don't believe all the inflation stuff, because I do have a formal business background. Profit equals revenue minus expense. And if you look at the St. Louis Federal Reserve corporate profits after tax, remember when 480 felt slick? Yeah, well, what about Progressive Scan? How about Progressive Scan being a good thing? But corporate profits after tax, St. Louis Federal Reserve, FRED, the Economic Research Division of the St. Louis Federal Reserve. The pandemic, corporate profits after tax went up faster than it did beforehand. So that's companies making money. The question is, what's involved in making money? That's the thing. Do we have prices going up more than the costs? Do we have other ways people are getting squeezed? And it certainly doesn't help anything that publicly traded companies will have publicly available recordings of conference calls with shareholders, where you'll hear the CEOs brag about pricing initiatives or pushing pricing or trying to drive returns, trying to drive results, some sort of boilerplate corporate term for they're going to try and get away with raising the prices as much as they possibly can. And I just don't understand, though, why some of these companies will capitalize on crises in order to jack prices on people and take more of their money. 480 felt slick. Resolution on old phones or iPods makes me wonder how I use them. Well, how about the term iPod to begin with instead of iPad? Who even talks about iPods anymore? iPhones kind of made them obsolete. These days, you can buy a smartphone with no service and just ignore the nag things to activate and use it as a tablet on Wi-Fi. Actually, I have an LG Phoenix 3 phone. Little cheapo smartphone because I want to see what having the cheapest smartphone at Walmart back then was like. It sucked. Every other phone I have is better, so I have it factory formatted, bone stock, only using it as an alarm clock. It receives updates over the cellular network when it's not nagging me to activate the SIM card. But dang pods used to. Yeah, iPods. The iPod was revolutionary when it first came out. Now it's an antique. Kind of like the BlackBerry. Yeah. Oh yeah, thanks for watching my Over the Hill Arse. Yeah, turning 40 next weekend. Haven't been looking forward to it. I haven't really been looking forward to it. So, my dad wants to stop by, and I'm just trying to figure out how not to make it into something super depressing. I think what I could do is try and bridge the generation gap. We talked about this whole thing with, why does it sound like I'm barely talking over this? Why does it sound like I'm barely talking over the jazz music? Let's put it down to 3%. Yeah, I just don't have any real good monitoring anymore ever since that stupid firmware update on this thing. I got to get some new audio processing stuff that keeps it together, or turn it down in the app. Ear Trumpet's supposed to keep it down anyways. So this is 3 that it's at right now. Hey, happy birthday. Yeah, it's the dreaded one though. Big 4-0. Yeah. So yeah, Boomer versus Millennial. It's a meme. Been a thing. I want to try and bridge that gap though. Kind of show him what it is I'm talking about. I mean, I've taken the time to try and understand, the stuff that his generation put up with the Cold War and everything along those lines. I'm wondering if he could possibly return the favor. So it's just a matter of, I believe he wrote something about, oh yeah, well, your generation has all the electronic entertainment, so you might not want to leave the house. Sort of. The reason I don't leave the house is because I've been turtling up because of the pandemic. That's really it. I mean, it's just, yeah, I got the shots and everything, but I know there's a lot of people around here who've been downplaying the pandemic and being petulant little overgrown children about it. So why would I want to go anywhere where I know those people are and I know they're getting other people sick? So it showed up in the numbers for this part of Connecticut too. You get out to some of these hick towns and you start seeing you would see higher COVID cases because, let's be blunt here, what you believe in your head translates into what you do in your life and what your life is like. Bad ideas ruin a lot of things. It doesn't just stay in your head. You act on what you believe and it affects you. That's the thing. So, right. 222. Anything going on over in Twitch land yet? That should update automatically. Oh, look who it is. Oh, look who it was. Alright, what's this? Site's muted anyways. Testing stuff in the hotel? Madam Tyler. Oh, what? Why is she switching to Streamlabs? Now check that stream out later. I'm looking for Just Keth to come online because she's supposed to take Jay Streezy out to a kickboxing place in Thailand. So, hiking? Yeah, I could probably go hiking if I really wanted to, except the weather's gonna suck. It's supposed to be all soggy this weekend, a little early April. So, I think though, I want to show him the smart TVs and stuff like that and see if, because here's the thing, he uses a Westinghouse 32-inch that he only got because the last tube TV he had the flyback transformer fry or something. Those of you that don't know about old TVs, the flyback transformer goes to that big suction cup on the back of the CRT that does the high voltage stuff. When that thing goes, if it shorts out, your TV just goes boom. That's how my original tube monitor from college died. It was an HP tube monitor, 17-inch, big, pretty good for the day when everybody sold you 15-inch monitors. You had to pay a premium for 17-inch. But the flyback transformer went out, and that's when I got the Samsung tube monitor that you've seen in my Dellasaurus videos and stuff. I used it for like a year or so, and when I got out on my own, I went and finally got a flat panel, square screen. But that's something I keep forgetting, is that the old TV was actually my first ever widescreen display. Yeah, I gotta get that out of the way then. I guess I gotta do some things around the house then to get this place more guest-friendly, because I have a lot of work in progress. And some other things too. It's one of the reasons why, folks, I've decided to make the changes to streaming that I did. Just kind of informal or working on stuff thing is going to be later at night. I'm glad people are showing up. I'm kind of surprised I have more people showing up now than in the early evening. I was thinking I'd have to focus more on a North American audience. I'm playing Needy Streamer Overload and just memeing the living daylights out of that game in the evenings US East. So probably do some more of that tomorrow now that I've learned a few more ways to get some more of the endings out of that game. And I have a couple other games besides ESO to play while ESO is kind of in eclipse for a bit. Guild Wars 2 also has its new expansion, End of Dragons, out that I could pick up and play catch up on Guild Wars 2. See if it's less of a technical disaster than what it turned into as a 10-year-old game that ran off of DirectX 9 for the longest time. That's one of the reasons I play ESO. It runs better. It's like Elder Scrolls Online, it just runs better. You can get 1080-60, get close to max, and have some beautiful graphics. And then you can run Reshade on it and make that look even better. Something else I gotta do, by the way. Stream ESO with Reshade. and show you folks these things. Yeah, Pacific time would be cool. That's 1, 12, 11. So if you're a night shift person in Pacific, it's not a big deal if I stream at 3 in the morning or something. And then there's EU, add a couple hours to bounce things forward for the Brits. The thing is, though, I'm not so sure that what I do is really all that appropriate for a morning show, because I'm kind of more of like a late night kind of guy from the looks of it, with the blue lounge theme and stuff along those lines. So yeah, Pacific. That's the thing I was wondering, what kind of folks from the Pacific time zone can I get interested in what it is that I do here? That's Vendalia's time zone, by the way. She's an ESO chill streamer. It's one of the reasons why she streams at this time of night, because she's in that time zone. And she's actually redone her setup, by the way. She has a cute dog, and she got rid of the green screen and just made whoa. She just made a Clunky Junior's making a little noise. Clunky the Second, I should say. I gotta do a video about that. For anybody that remembers old Clunky, there's a successor to old Clunky. Getting late in the East Coast, yes, but I'm night shift. My work hours are usually 4:30 in the evening to 1 in the morning, and in overtime, that can be 3 in the morning. So I tend to be stuck in overtime mode, staying up until sunrise a lot more. I know I could do a morning talk show, but I'd be a hypocrite if I did that. On my current schedule, I'd be getting ready to go to bed. At the time, I was like, good morning, everybody. Have to come on with your alarm, though. That's the thing. I don't think what I do could be I'm not an annoying morning person. I'm a night owl. Plain and simple. No, but then again, this whole setup is kind of inspired by Howard Stern. So, if you ever seen Howard Stern when he took his show on TV with the blue lights and everything, even doesn't he wear sunglasses indoors, too? I'm not the only person that does that either. A couple other content creators. Heel Mike, who's a big party animal, way younger than me, and he acts his age. Heel Mike over on Twitch, he wild and crazy party animal, wears sunglasses all the time. Scotty Kilmer, who does automotive vlogs, does the sunglass thing. Of course, Dr. Disrespect. This is kind of like a style choice type thing. Although I did have to switch to these because they were the ambers I wore are polarized, and you can't see screen 2 through them because of. I can't believe that LCD panels use polarizing filters that don't line up with glasses. Like, have I really been looking at screens that are basically sun glare stuff? Yeah, I got a backlog of tech video stuff to do. One of them is finding out why do I suddenly have a polarized sunglasses problem with this specific display when it's been in the project area for years. And how come my old setup didn't give me problems? Was it the viewing angle because I was looking at it from the side? With it doing this instead of looking straight at it because I have a proper alarm for it. So something along those lines too. It's an aesthetic. Well, we have the option of aesthetics nowadays because back in the old days, everything was yellow because of old light bulbs. Switch to Geek House Light mode. Because some people just don't learn this lesson. Woo! There we go.
Geek House Light mode activated.
How's this for something boring? Switch to normal mode. That'll make the ones in the back brighter. There we go. Switch to dim mode. I'll turn down the back. Okay. Thank you. Hey, look at all this.
Very welcome, Jay.
Hey, look, a pumpkin. Switch to Geek House Dark mode. The plant light is still going no matter what. That's what the purple in the back is. I got some hostas in there. All right, let's see here. I got smurfed again, didn't I? Yes, I got smurfed. Thank you.
Just doing my job.
Yeah, I got smurfed again, so I got to set the white balance back to warm mode so I can actually not look like Blue Man Group over here. Well, as office privacy panels to your monitor make your screen look dark at any angle other than straight on. It'll make it. Here's it. No. Here's the way it works. Polarized. The other sunglasses that I've been using were ambers, and I like that because they're basically gaming glasses. They were ambers that blocked blue light and stuff. So the problem is every single one of those ambers is polarized. The problem is it's meant to block out sun glare. Polarize. If you ever work with a polarizing filter with a camera. Basically, it only makes light go like vertical or horizontal or something. It has to go through shine in a specific direction. The other direction gets canceled out and you can't see it. This screen, this Walmart monitor, dirty little secret, this off-brand Walmart on monitor on this arm over here is actually generating its picture the same way that the sun glares at you. So the polarized shades will darken the heck out of it unless I go 45 degrees like this to look at it. So it's something I didn't notice until I set it up. It's like, why is that all dark like that? Oh boy. Yeah, then I turned it sideways and I could see it again. Worst comes to worst, if I really want to have a fancy setup like some of these streamers, put chat vertically on it, turn that sideways and put it over here, or use it as a light, but have a vertical monitor. That'll fix everything and I can go back to polarized stuff. Right now, though, with the electronic shortages and the higher prices right now, I'm not so sure I want to be spending a lot. Same thing, too. I mean, this is 2022 is 20 years since the Summer of the Geek back in 2002 when I built the Silver Bullet, my first ever custom system in college. So, gotta figure that part out as well, that 20 years later, we have things costing way more than they should. Do I really want to spend money on a new system for extra CPU to be able to one PC stream Elder Scrolls Online? Especially when, let me see here, it would be an i7 because I'd want to maintain compatibility. CuteBot's doing her show as well. Speed dating viewers. Yeah, there's a college-y type thing. The algorithms introduced me to her because of watching too many female streamers. Or something like that. Actually, no, it was some clip channel that she was making fun of some gamer or something. Let's see here. i7 12700K versus 6700K. Because I want user benchmark. Let's see, user benchmark or CPU world or something along those lines. Let's do that. Let's do user benchmark for this one. Oh, that's not that bad. It's a 36% effective speed increase over the 6700K. It's a little hot though. I don't know if I want to do like I'd never overclocked this thing. So I'm not really into overclocking because I like things to be more power efficient and get bang for buck, be able to do what I want to do and not suck a ton of power. But yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I want to maintain compatibility with Intel QuickSync for rendering video because it's a lot more efficient at the same bit rates than NVIDIA NVENC or CPU rendering. 6700K to 12700K, not a bad deal. But there's supposed to be an iteration on the technology coming out later this year, so I don't know if that might drive down the prices of 12th gen or if 13th gen will fix some of the power problems because Intel was stuck on the old process node. So unless I keep, of course, old Monolith around to render video on. But a lot of times I like to have my main system be able to do a little of everything. Plus the graphics card will be going over as well. 91 watts versus 125 watts. I don't know. The architecture is made to be more efficient and use efficiency cores unless the power cores need to be activated. So that might not be the case. I wonder if it's tied, though, to how everything's coded with your programs. We're only going from 14 nanometers to 10 anyways. With this announcement from my dad and with the interest that he's shown in having some kind of birthday get-together of some sort, trying to figure out the details over the next week or so, one of the things that I would like to do, and one of the reasons why I made the change to my setup, or to when I want to stream, to do all the bigger streams in the early evening hours and then do videos late at night, is because videos are more flexible. And part of that flexibility, I want to be able to get to sleep early and end these days where I'm always up until sunrise for some reason. Whether it's some kind of streamer who's just too many time zones away from me for me to be able to watch without losing sleep, or something along those lines. I want the option of going to sleep earlier and getting up earlier so I can do more constructive stuff during the day. Make phone calls, not be like getting up with an alarm at 2 in the afternoon to call a business to try and wake up and call a business that closes at 4 or 5. So, no. I want that I don't want to be stuck streaming at this hour at all, unless it's informal chat stuff like this. What's with the concurrence now, though? Why weren't there concurrence earlier when I was on a far better time zone for the United States? I thought early evening would work out better. What, am I turning into the Trainwrecks TV of YouTube at this point? The running joke for that is he often goes live at 3 in the morning And people are like, you're not going to get an audience. And now he's a gambling streamer with like tens of thousands of concurrents. And he used to do podcasts and all kinds of other stuff super late night. Of course, the West Coast is 3 hours behind. So 3 in the morning means like late night TV out in California. So it's cool to see some people from California showing up. But yeah, so at night, 5 o'clock, 432, that's early afternoon. That's too early for people getting home from work. That's what sucks about streaming. That's why I'm not emphasizing it. I'm not going to emphasize it too much. And I'm looking for a better mix between streams and videos, because videos can be watched anytime. And YouTube is trying to bridge the gap between videos and streams so that there's the streamer culture on YouTube videos. So it's time zone crap. Yuck. Why were we, as content creators and other people involved in this stuff, no matter how much our involvement is, part-time YouTuber, big-time streamer who doesn't have a regular job, whatever, why did we get caught up in this mess where time zones make or break you like this, or people step on each other's toes if they both stream at the same time or whatever? Yeah, I'm gonna run this thing into the ground. Last spinner I have from the old fad. Woo! Regardless. Yeah, so thanks, folks, for, turning 40. I'm officially old now. You folks could be like, whatever, I'm going to watch someone younger and more handsome. But yeah, you folks are here. So, and whatever views I can get on the videos, cool and all. But yeah, I wasn't joking around when I got into this YouTube stuff. This whole presentation-y type stuff, the stuff I like fiddling around with. So the next steps, even though I'm an old guy and I'm over the hill, I want to see if I can set something up with YouTube cameras being able to function as webcams. Want a better setup for live, to the point where I can record videos with streaming gear for chiming in on things that I want to throw in my opinion on and other stuff. But mostly what I'm looking for is more flexibility with this kind of stuff. I want to be able to go to bed early, get up early, especially when it comes to things like if I split the day out with streaming in the early evenings on weekends or days off, and then videos late at night when everybody's sleeping, that would mean I want to free up during the day, like afternoon or so, for any constructive stuff I want to do. Put on someone's stream and then clean up around the house, rearrange stuff, move stuff around, put things away, because I have a big problem with work in progress. I'll take like a couple of tools to work on some computer and then not put the tools back. I talk about Geek House 5S. Another thing too is a little bit of clutter, because the recycling run that I wanted to do to get rid of an old printer or some old stuff from earlier didn't happen because of the pandemic 2 years ago. So I gotta get up early enough to go to the recycling place when it's still open and drop off all that old stuff that I want recycled, or look up something more private sector than the town service and see how that works, whether or not I'd have to pay money for it or whatever. And in the case of my printer, because I tried fixing it before I retired it, can I show up with a half disassembled printer that's a big chunk of metal and wires and still get it recycled, because it looks like a cross between the printer and the Terminator. You think if little red eyes glow in the printer, you better run. But it looks like the Terminator, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. So I feel strange when I stay up so late that I see the sunrise and hear the birds. It makes it hard for me to sleep once that happens. So that's kind of night shift for me. But I don't really need to be staying up until sunrise. I didn't do that when I first went to night shift. Could theoretically just go to bed when I get home, get up at 9 in the morning with 8 hours sleep, do stuff during the day, and have work be the end of my day. I like to do a couple of things here and there, but it's mostly overtime mode that has me up until sunrise. But I got to be able to dial things back, because I want to be able to do constructive stuff during the day. And lately I've been finding myself waking up without an alarm around noon. So if I could wake up with 8 hours sleep instead of 5 hours sleep around that time, it'd be amazing. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in to, me as I continue to, get old and stuff. So still going to be doing the multimedia nerd thing. Still going to be involved on YouTube. Can't figure out what the heck to do with the Twitch channel because of the differences between YouTube and Twitch right now. But also involved on Twitter, Instagram. Instagram in particular is where I throw a lot of ESO screenshots that I've souped up. Some visual artists and stuff like that kind of stuff. But streaming late at night like this is going to be less of a thing for me, because I want the option of just going to bed. Plain and simple. Then getting up and doing some constructive stuff before beginning all the media stuff later at night. So yeah, just wanted to come on here and wanted to just do a discussion about, thanks for watching, even though I'm technically an old creator here, turning 40 next weekend. Haven't been looking forward to this because it's a rather morbid milestone. And of course, got to figure out what we can do, father-son outing and stuff for myself and my dad. But let's just say that I want things to go in a different direction now that the pandemic is in eclipse. I had plans, if you remember back at the beginning of the 2020, excuse me if you heard that, by the way, a little indigestion. Another thing that sucks about getting old is when you can't eat stuff the way you used to, and you have to keep the antacid handy. Thanks for the stream. Happy birthday as well. So, I don't know how many folks remember 2020. Not that anybody would want to remember 2020, but at the very beginning, since the 2010s, before all this stuff happened, they pretty much sucked. I talked about the 2020s as the new roaring 20s, and I wanted to see, what I could do to use more of my tech background professionally or stuff like that. Just wanted the 2020s to turn into something that was actually better than the 2010s. I don't want to be nostalgic for the 2000s because the 2010s had a lot of crappy stuff in them. So, the pandemic put a dent in that, but as I'm telling you right now, Omicron is in eclipse here in my part of Connecticut and in New England in general. The number is just dropping. They're dropping all around the country. There's some places that still have problems with the virus, but my part of New England is not one of them. So until the next major variant pops up, I want to see, what I can do, what other stuff can go on and things along those lines, and stop being, Mr. Tenacity, whatever you want to call it with this stuff. Part of that is going to be backing off on some of this late night stuff, including streaming, unless it's working on something late at night. I don't assume I'm going to get any viewers, so I'm actually wondering why the heck this is the case, as opposed to the garbage stuff that goes on when I actually try to stream at a better hour. But hey, California, that explains everything. 1, 12, 11. If you stay up as late as I do and you're in California, it's not as bad as it sounds. You know what it is? I had people come on, they were trolling me because they looked at my time zone. They were like, why do you think you're going to get an audience at 3 in the morning? It's like, you're hopeless if you stream at this time of night as a night shifter. No. California, the late night folks will still be up out on the West Coast. And then in Europe, people are getting up because it's morning. It's one of the things we learned in my business school. Keep a global perspective on things. We'll give chat one last hurrah here. Anything else you want to talk about? Otherwise, 2:43 at the Geek House. Let's call it a morning. How long is the latency on middle mode on YouTube these days? Roughly 30 seconds or so? All right. Thanks for the birthday wishes, everybody. Now, let's see here. I gotta figure out this birthday thing. Clean up around the house, make the place more guest-friendly, and figure out how I'm going to rebalance everything to not look like a streamer on YouTube, because I have a backlog of video stuff to do. And of course, you could also clean the house out. I've been one of those generic guys who always has a mountain of cables that I might need someday, but Amazon has all that stuff, even legacy stuff in some warehouse somewhere. If I ever need some of those old, I might be able to just get rid of those cables and get their modern descendants if I ever need them again. Decisions. Right then. How much time left on the song? A minute? Well, not if I do this. I might actually do something for 40, just like I did for 30. It'll probably be a video or a stream or whatever, but we got to figure it out. Don't want to make anything more like work. I'm not at work, so I don't want it to feel like work. We'll figure it out. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for watching my over-the-hill arse. Whatever. Getting old sucks!